How you doing? It's Justin and we're ready to rock now. We're going to check out some power chords. So, power chords are very often used in rock guitar, but they also sound wicked on acoustic guitar. If you want some good examples of acoustic guitar power chords, the Nirvana Unplugged in New York is a fantastic record with loads of power chords all over it, played on acoustic guitar. I really like the sound of them, but they totally work on electric guitar with a bit of distortion or just electric guitar clean. And they're a really, really cool sounding chord. It's the first time that you're going to be able to deal with your like F sharp chords and C sharp chords and that kind of thing. So sit tight, it's going to be a bit of a rush this one. We've got lots of stuff to do, but I'm sure you'll enjoy playing these little puppies. So the thing with power chords that's really interesting is there's only one chord shape and we move it around because it's all based around this idea called a root note. So the chord I'm going to show you, and we'll go to a close-up in a minute, but the chord I'm going to start off with is this chord G Power Chord, G5. And it's really important that you realise this power chord only has 3 notes, which is the thickest 3 strings, and the other 3 strings are dead, they're muted. And the reason it's like a bar kind of thing, like we used for the F chord, only we're not pressing down on those strings, we're just kind of leaving them a bit loosely there. So we only have those 3 notes. Now the cool thing with power chords is that the one shape moves around. So we don't have to learn loads of different power chord shapes. In fact, G, move it up 1, G sharp, move it up again, A, move it up again, B flat. It's really that simple, and there are so many songs that use these power chord shapes. You wouldn't believe that the amount of tunes that you've got straight. As soon as you learn this, you've got some really, really hip sounding tunes that you can play right away. So let's go and have a little close-up look now at this G chord, and then I'm going to explain a bit to you about how it moves around the guitar neck. Okay, here we are looking at our G5, our G power chord. Now what we've got here, we've got our first finger here. This is the 3rd fret, and this is the note G. This is where we get the name of our power chord. This is a G power chord because that note underneath that first finger is the note G, and that's referred to as our root note, which is spelled R-O-O-T, by the way, and that is where we get the name of our chord. Very important to realize that. Now notice that the rest of the finger is just laying down. It's not trying to press down any of the other strings whatsoever. It's just muting them all. It's just touching them, but without it being hard enough to actually make a note. Next thing we do, 3rd finger's reaching up to the 5th fret on the 5th string. You will find, or you probably will find, that a little bit of a stretch. Hopefully that's part of your exercises you've been doing. You should have been doing this as part of your exercise, shouldn't you, for the little finger stretch? So if you've been doing that, you shouldn't have too much trouble going from your 1st finger to your 3rd finger there. And your little finger sneaks up underneath your 3rd finger, just sitting down there quite comfortably. Try and get the 2 of them locked together so they're kind of right on top of each other. That'll help you move that chord around later on. So what you're really looking for there is making sure that you've got the 3 notes of the power chord and that the other 3 strings at the top there, they're muted by your 1st finger, the edge of your 1st finger. So get that one together, and then let's go back and look at moving it around the guitar neck. Okay, now we've checked out our G power chord. It's really important that you realize that you can move it right up and down the neck to get any other chord that you want. So the easiest way to do this, if you go to the website and look for this lesson, which is BC-172, if you look that up on the website, come to that page, you'll find there's a big picture of the neck diagram with all of the notes on the 6th string, because the root note for our G5 power chord is on the 6th string. So we had it as G, which was at the 3rd fret, with our 1st finger sitting on the note G. That's the root note, which is where we get the name for our chord. Now, if we wanted to play G sharp, we know that sharp is just up 1 fret. So if we move that whole shape up to the 4th fret, so 1st finger sitting in the 4th fret, we would have G sharp power chord. If we move it up again, we'd have A power chord. If we move it up 2 frets, we'd have B power chord. And if we move it all the way down to the 1st fret, we'd have an F power chord. So it's really, really simple actually to find any chord that you want. So I'm going to just explain to you a couple of really kind of cool progressions that you might want to experiment with. One of them, and I'm just going to play them once, but I want you to go and use that diagram on the website to figure out where the notes are on the 6th string, and then find these chords for yourself. That's why I'm not going to show you on a close-up of this, but I will explain it as I go. really important, knowing the notes on the 6th string, the thicker string, and the 5th string. That's like an essential to finish the beginner's course. You need to have that. So you may as well start on that now as you're learning this stuff. Try and get those notes into your memory. So just remember the white notes, right? Just remember F, G, A, B, and C, because you already know the sharps and flats because they're the notes in between. So a really good sequence that you might want to try would be something, say, F, and then you maybe go up to B flat. Now B flat, you would find first of all B, which is at the 7th fret, I can't speak today, and then move it down 1 semitone because you know flat makes it go lower. So you'd be up on a B flat there. Then you might go to another chord, say A flat. Now A flat, you would be going from A, which is at the 5th fret, and then you flatten it and you end up being at A flat. And then you might go to a chord like D flat. Now D flat, you'd have to go all the way. There's A at the 5th fret, there's B at the 7th fret, there's a C at the 8th fret. You'd have to go all the way up to the 10th fret to find D, and then D flat would of course be the 9th fret. So nice little progression to work on. You're getting lots of practice in finding your flats there. With something like going F, B flat, and then maybe to A flat, and then D flat. Really, really nice little chord sequence. One that you may have heard before somewhere. Very, very cool. If you experimented with the rhythm of that, you might find some other songs that you recognised as well. So that might be a cool little chord sequence to get going. Another really good one that's quite popular would be A, C, G, D. So it's going like A to C, G to D. You can see I'm really having to move it around now. A, C, G to D. Again, making sure that you've got those thin 3 strings muted there, otherwise it's going to sound really horrible. That's the big deal now, starting to try and get that power chord moving up and down, keeping those thin strings muted so they don't ring out, and then just experimenting with some different chord sequences. You could even try playing some songs or chord sequences that you've used that used open chords. So just if the original song went, say, G, D to C, let's say it goes back to D again, but you could go power chords, G, D, C, and back to D. You can really experiment a lot with these power chords. It's quite an interesting sound, you know. A cool thing could be maybe your friends playing some open chord strumming and you play some power chords, that kind of thing. Lots of ways of experimenting with it. We're going to talk a little bit more about using it later on, but for now, let's just get you going with that first power chord shape, working on the stretch between your first finger and your third finger, to, you know, making sure they get right up next to the frets where they should. Get used to the idea of moving them around, up and down. Just experiment, you know, see if you can move it from here to here, and trying to remember the notes on the thicker string. That's the key task that you're trying to do. It's quite a lot, but now, like I said before, we're trying to progress now into doing some pretty cool stuff on the guitar. So it might take you a little bit more practice than the other things, but it's worth it because it means that you're a lot better guitar player. Have fun with that. I'll see you for another lesson very soon. Bye-bye.